dealer, but that's what you gotta start greeting people with so you can soften the demons and some of these people's souls. But happy Monday to you guys. Coffee cheers, right? I have been enjoying my creative time, my creative space. I'm going to have to get back to the old routine soon. But I've enjoyed this time just dropping knowledge, providing my perspective, because I feel like content creators like me, we're not coming to inflame. We're not coming with a demonic spirit in us that's like, here, think like this or that, right? We're more like, this is how we think about things. You know what I mean? And if you think about things the same, then kudos. Join the tribe, hit that subscribe button. But like for me, it's like I am all about individualism. I believe in protecting the image of the tribes that you're associated with. So for me, my tribe is Black American. And, I feel like a lot of the projections, the ideas about Black Americans, they're not fair to true Black success in America. And I think that what the industry, the politicians, all of these buck dancing type of people are designed to do in this MK Ultra like hyper projection world that we live in is to narrate Black people universally as this struggle class, right? No matter like where the people come from, we are considered a struggle class. And I think when you think about how many people, Black people, have created, innovated, impacted America, they don't get their flowers. Like a lot of people, for example, excuse me, I went out of town this weekend and I swear, I just feel like every time I go out of town, I'm like coming back with like that area's germs. But because I feel like I'm getting re sick, I was getting over something and now I feel like I'm getting re sick. But anyways, but I feel like when you look at the narration of Black people, like let's just take Black history for example. If you have kids, right? Usually they'll get this Black History Heroes list every single year. And it was shocking to me, as a parent, when I looked at my kids' list and they had the usual suspect struggle people fighting for struggle, been through the struggle. It didn't have any real Black people who had like sort of that rise above, higher consciousness, elevate among chaos mindset. It was like always these people that were dealing with chaos, fighting for chaos. And I respect those brothers and sisters in the civil rights era. I respect the slaves that came over and endured and still generation by generation. And even when they were freemen, right? They decided to see their oppressors in this nation. They didn't flee back to Africa or whatever notion of Africa there was for them because it was none at that point. You're talking about a people who were intentionally disassociated from their culture. So the only culture they really, really knew was the one that they had to create over time, right? And when you look at how many strides and impacts Black Americans have had. One thing what really irritated me with these Black um, history heroes is why wasn't the Jackson family ever on that list? Why wasn't the Wayans family ever on that list? It was always either Michael Jackson single handedly, but it wasn't the entire family. Because the story of the entire family is really the story. It's always going to be the story. Yes, Michael was the Beyonce of the family. He did shine brighter at the end of the day. But the story is always going to be the entire family and how they stuck together in purpose. And, you know, and these are to me stories of Black American cultures that it's always sort of overshadowed with all this negative stuff because they don't want us narrated the right way. I had to put Lonnie George Johnson, the guy who created the Super Soaker, propulsion engineer, veteran, Black American hero. We wouldn't have the Super Circular. We wouldn't have had Nerf without this brother's technology. And I don't know any kid of any color in the United States who did not have a Super Soaker or Nerf. So when people make arguments, Black people never created something, you remind them about brothers like Lonnie George Johnson. You remind them about brothers like Barry Gordy, because the Gordy family out here in Detroit is another story that I challenged him. My daughter did Barry Gordy the year before because I'm like, she's not going to do a slave. She's not going to do a civil rights beacon. She's going to do a Black man that actually elevated Black people, employed them, and created Black million and billionaires. Because we wouldn't have Diana Ross. We wouldn't have the Jackson Five. We wouldn't have all of these Motown beacons. We wouldn't have Motown without Barry Gordy, his ideas, his innovation, his dreams. We wouldn't have Motown without a Smokey Robinson and all those sound engineers that he employed to make that music happen for us. These are stories that they love to suppress because they love to elevate Black inferiority, right? And they want to narrate what Black people should be and how we should be thinking about ourselves, right? So now you have Sister Janet Jackson on the mic. And let me tell you something about Janet. I feel like Janet is so calculated, right? Janet is so calculated. She know what she's doing, right? She know. I'm going to say Kamala ain't Black. And she probably believes that, right? That she probably believes that, right? This is alleging that Janet Jackson said that Kamala Harris is not Black. And now some folks are in their feelings about that, right? But again, when you're looking at Jamaicans, you ask many Jamaicans, they don't feel like they are synonymous to Black Americans. They don't claim to be Black Americans, right? And that's their right. We respect them and we still immerse with our Jamaican brothers and sisters, right? Like there's no hate against the Jamaicans, but they are who they are culturally and we are who we are culturally. And this delineation that you see in America amongst Black looking people these days is absolutely important, right? Because again, I'm not trying to be funny, respects to our Haitian brothers, but how you marching in America with your Haitian flags talking about you're not going back to Haiti. And nobody's telling you to go back to Haiti, unless you are, if you're legally here, right? Nobody's telling you to go back to Haiti. But don't be coming over here Haitian in America, right? You know, your flag has no place on our lands. Like, I mean, especially when you out here waving them, right? Flexing, like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I don't think, like, this is where immigration and this is where some of this stuff, we got to really start thinking about immigration and the loyalty of the people that come here, because I'm going to say it until the cows come home. Rome fell because the people that they allowed in their nation had zero loyalty to their nation. They were occupants with self-interest, and these are the most dangerous type of people to have in your land. Black Americans don't go to other countries waving their flag. I've traveled to Germany. I've been to Switzerland. I've been to France. You ain't see me around flexing an American flag because I was going there to immerse in those cultures, get the vibe, get the feel from those cultures, right? I mean, my thing is it's about respect, right? I mean, you can be proud of who you are, right? But we're not talking about going to other countries. We're talking about immigrating to other countries, right? And then you having some weird entitlement, and especially if you immigrated here illegally, you are best to just stand down and be quiet. Like, I mean, seriously, this is, to me, a lot of this stuff is weird. It's weird. It's weird. It's weird, and I don't feel like this is safe. This is not safe for the nation. It's not. It's really not. When you bring people in and they have split dual loyalties, they're volatile people to exist among your population, whether people want to see that or not. And I'm not saying all of these immigrants are doing that. I respect the immigrants that went through the process. Like I used to work with H-1B people all the time. These are sweet people. They love America. The people that I worked with, and this is more like in the manufacturing technology sector, these people had a passion for this country. They understood, where their freedoms were between their nation and America. And when they come here, they are all in with America, right? They respect their people, they go back home, right? But they're not really out here flexing like that. I live in Michigan. Dearborn is one of the most Arab areas in the United States. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I cruise through Dearborn. I do not see a lot of flags in front of these Arab people's houses of their nation. You can go to Dearborn, Michigan. What you're not gonna see is a bunch of Arab nation flags in front of these people's houses. You might see an American flag for sure, but you're not seeing their Arab nation flags out here. Like, come out to Dearborn, y'all. The most Arab part. You're not gonna see that. Hamtramck used to be dominant Polish before the Muslims took over. They over there too. But even in Hamtram, I don't see a lot of nationalist flags outside of the American flags. You know what I mean? And it's not that these people are denouncing their nation, right? But you just not announcing your nation on this land that you have immigrated to, and you've called yourself trying to be free from some kind of oppression, right? Haitians are coming over here because they're economically pressed. Apparently, it's not working out in their nation. The voodoo isn't working, right? So they're fleeing over here, right? And I don't agree with the rhetoric, and the generalizations about these people, right? Because again, we're talking about a conflation. And I'm very sensitive when people conflate, poverty line blacks to the blacks that are doing all right. So I'm not going to sit there and say, that that is fair to do to the Haitians as well. You know what I mean? Because not all of them are involved in practices like that. And I think it's ignorant to believe that they are so that you can be on a bandwagon of ignorance. But getting back, Janet Jackson is getting backlash from the liberal side because obviously they want all blackface people playing ball when it comes to Kamala Harris, right? And these arguments about delineation makes it very complicated for a person like Kamala Harris because how the liberals and the Democrats would normally sell their POC, right? It can't work this time because they've sold her as an Indian. They really just sold her as an Indian, right? When she was running for Senate, it's first Indian, right? They didn't say nothing about the black side, nothing about the Jamaican side, right? Then all of a sudden she started running for president, doing her press run, and all of a sudden she's black. She's on the Breakfast Club talking about she smoked weed and listened to Snoop Dogg and all these dudes during a time that they weren't even dropping music, right? So they got Kamala Harris really trying to blackify herself, right? And people are seeing through the smoke screens, right? We see the Wizard of Oz, molding this woman into an idea of a black woman, right? And it's very interesting. But Janet Jackson, she saw the plot. She said what she said, right? And people are coming at her, right? And people have a right to believe and think the way that they want to. And there are so many different groups and culture that delineate themselves. Like if you have a Chinese and a Japanese person, culturally, they're going to delineate themselves. They're like, hey, we don't care what you think. We are culturally different. And even if you want to lump us all up as Asians or Orientals, right? Chinese and Japanese and Korean cultures are not the same. There's some delineation there against their cultures, practices, and beliefs. Going to an HBCU doesn't make you black. If that was the case, Rachel Dolezal, that's what I'm saying. They should be apologizing to Rachel Dolezal for real. The minute they started playing this, I'm like, y'all need to apologize to Rachel Dolezal because the Democrats went gang gang on that white woman, denouncing her whiteness to be a black woman. That was the wrong game to play, right? Because this is now a white woman denouncing her white womanness to absorb the plight and struggles of a black woman. And they hated that. And they destroyed that woman. They destroyed that woman, right? Rachel Dolezal should write a book on the hypocrisy because she's transracial. And if y'all gonna be trans and everything and normalizing trans everything, then transracial is a thing. And don't be mad when these white women just say, you know what? I want to be a sister. I want to be a sister. See, it becomes a red flag when the white women start denouncing their whiteness to absorb the plight of a black woman. I rocks with Sister Rachel Dolezal. I rocks with her. Hey, do your thing. This girl obviously did not like her culture enough to immerse in it like she was with the black folks. So stop playing with Rachel. She was sick during the interview, mourning her brother, and she lives in London. Right. I mean, this is what I hear. Me questions. Don't ask me questions. Are we finished? Please stop asking me questions. Don't ask me questions. And she looked like she's nasally, right? Janet's like, I'm not here for this, okay? I'm really not here for this, right? But they got to press every single black face right now in this political cycle because they need as many black people as they can co-signing Kamala Harris. And a lot of black people, they're actually taking Diddy's advice, the same advice that Diddy gave black people in 2020, which pissed them off. And I think that was really the start of his end because he told black people, make them earn your vote. That was the wrong thing for a Democratic puppet like Diddy to be saying to black people because politics is very serious. We don't care about all this MK Ultra music stuff we pushing on black people, but don't push black people to make political choices that are contrary to what we want. And that is what Diddy did. And I knew then it was the writing on the wall for him. I'm like, this brother is saying the opposite of what he should be saying, being propped up by that machine. That's why I just felt like I knew that they were going to be taking Diddy down because he was already saying the wrong things in 2020. This stuff that's coming out, they have been building and cataloging against that brother since 2020. And I think Diddy knew about it back then. And that's why he looking all crazy, talking about, so make them earn your vote, make them earn your vote. When people start talking off script from the machine, that means that they feel like the machine is after them, that the machine is going to go after them. And look at what happened subsequently these next couple of years with Diddy, right? Here we are with Diddy. Everybody that he knew that was rocking with him are singing like a canary. There's a lot of big money in taking Diddy down. It's a lot of big money invested in taking this man down. And I really think he bribed the wrong people. But getting back to Janet Jackson, a lot of foundational black Americans are jumping on Janet's defense. They like, don't play with Janet. Don't play with the Jacksons. Okay, you play with Kamala. She's ambiguous. You can play with her, but don't play with Janet, right? He said Janet Jackson is a real woman. The Jacksons of Gary, Indiana are 100% black American. We don't have any doubts about the Jackson family at all. We don't, right? We're not questioning the blackness of the Jackson family. Maybe we was questioning Michael when, the vitiligo, whatever was going on with him, he had some problems, right? But we still know that Mike was black, all right? We knew that Mike was black. Janet is a black American. She is. it's like, to me, there are a few people, like there are a couple of black icons that you should never, ever, 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 ever think that you can pit black Americans against. Like there's some people, they have proven themselves to employ black people to make other black people money, right? Because even when you look at Keenan Ivory Wayans, right? He looked out for his family and he looked out for other black people. So these are black people that actually employed other black people. They were able to allow other black people to monetize off their talents that worked in conjunction with what they were doing. Right? Right? These people are royalty to us. And you're never going to turn us against people like the Jackson family. You're never, even with all that pedophile stuff with Michael, black people, we was just like, what? It was shocking at first, but then we started seeing the plot. And that's why Michael Jackson, Prince, Whitney Houston, the Jacksons, Barry Gordy, I'm not naming Quincy Jones because I do feel like he was a gatekeeper. I think some of these record executive dudes that were not Barry Gordy, um, the black ones, some of them are questionable. Some of them are questionable. I can't really give them their flowers, but I'm sure somebody else is going to give them their flowers. But these are black American icons. And even outside of, music, again, we got Lonnie Johnson, right? These are people who created things that actually gave people jobs, right? So don't ever let people tell you that black people didn't create anything. How many people, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, use a platform called blackplanet.com? Blackplanet.com, it was a social networking site. It came out before Facebook. I think it was right alongside MySpace as well. These were some of the first social platforms of that time. And then Black Planet had a Hispanic Latino spinoff called Mayhente.com, right? Same, empowered by the same minorities, right? Well, that interface of Black Planet was very similar to where Facebook kind of started from, right? And even just kind of their ideas with the groups and all that stuff like that. Black Planet was way ahead of their time, right? And but again, people like to narrate, dictate to black people how we should think and feel about things, and and they want to perpetuate this. And YouTube, let me tell you something. I feel like I'm like the least inflammatory content creator on YouTube. I try to maybe give people perspective. I mean, I come with a little candor and, you know, sarcasm, but it's coming from a good place. But they suppress my content so much so that people can listen to these double talking inflammatory demons. So when you want to talk about unity and peace, these platforms don't want that, right? They don't want people having reasonable discussions about things. And they won't want people understanding what's happening to them as well, because a lot of this stuff is MK Ultra. They're panicking because all of their narrations, all of their control mechanisms of thought are falling apart, and the black people are the worst for them. They're like, oh my god, they're waking up. Oh my God, they're waking up. They're coming to reason. They're having conversations. They're having debates among each other, right? I don't care if you're like, I'm in the FBA camp, I'm in the ADOS camp, I'm in the Freeman camp. They're all synonymous. Y'all the same damn people. Y'all just got different labels to me, right? Y'all the same. Y'all is the same bloodline, same lineage, right? We just got all these little sub names for us, right? But they all synonymous, right? We're all freemen. We're all American descendants of slaves. We are all foundational black Americans. That's a lot of synonymous jargon there, you guys. Just realize that, you know? But regardless, I'm just glad the camps of thought exist. I really am. Because I've been saying for a while that black people, we need to get control of our narrative. We can't keep letting people dictate to us how to think, what to think, who to like, who to be, right? We are the most capable people on this earth. And that is why there is a special interest to suppress us, to not give us our flowers, to always make us look like we are this incapable struggle class. Because if you perpetuate an idea long enough, right, some people will start to believe it, right? But black people are waking up and we don't believe it. We see the plot, we see the coordination. Many of us see the coordination, the intentional coordination to talk against us, and they even use our black people to do it, right? So when you see these black Democrats going in on Janet Jackson about you got a white son, how should we define him? It's like, man, he's mixed. That's what you can define Janet Jackson's child is, and Kamala Harris is mixed. She just happens to be mixed with two lineages that are not foundational of America. Right? At least Janet Jackson's son got a foundational black American bloodline in him. So, but these are moot points. These are moot points. Don't go after Janet Jackson for having a logical opinion when it comes to tribalization and delineation, and looking at Kamala Harris, who was sold as one thing, but then they doubled back and it was like, oh, yeah, we forgot, there's this, dark looking side, and there's a dark looking demographic of people that we need to get votes from. So we need to start upselling the blackness of this woman, right? And she's not authentically black. And that's the problem. You can tell when somebody is trying to be black. You can tell when somebody is being blackified, right? Right? There's nothing natural about that person, right? I don't know any black person to just sit around talking about collard greens all the freaking time, right? But she thinks collard greens synonymous with black people. I'm gonna talk about that, right? Somebody's in her ear telling her like talk about, it's like the Hillary Clinton. They giving away their strategies because they use the same thing. Hillary talking about I keep hot sauce in my bag, and Charlemagne was smart enough to say no, you don't. She was like, you just saying that, and she's like, is it working? Right? These people are out here lying, right? They're lying, right? So now she's like hot sauce and collard greens. It's like they think that we are so unintelligent that we would rather talk about collard greens than policies. That's basically what they think, right? And when you think about Kamala, right, she's selling illusions and dreams. She's politicking like she's being told to. I actually feel sorry for the woman, to be honest with you. I mean, because it sucks to be a puppet these days. Because unfortunately, the Democrats don't want to pick good puppets. They can't pick strong black people. They got to pick these people who don't have any type of conviction and will do what they're told and say what they're told to say and stick to the talking points. And that's where Kamala comes in, right? And she does have that brown paper bag privilege, right? Of being just ambiguous enough to be sold over there. But again, I will never understand how you went to an HBCU, you all up in this black culture like this, you even went the distance pledging in one of those little Greek sorority fraternities, right? And you walk out of that whole black experience with a non-black man. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing, you love who you want to, right? I've interracially dated before, but I've never aspired to be in the HBCU lifestyle at all. I've never aspired to pledge in any of those Greek fraternities or sorority. I've thought about it, but then I didn't like the notion of deities associated with these things, and I don't like pledges and oaths to man. So it didn't work for me. Just don't sit with people like me, right? But it's like, I didn't go to distance and all that. She did. She's wearing that as a badge. So where is your big black man? Where is he? She didn't even pull a big Jamaican man from the HBCU. And I know Jamaicans go to HBCUs too, don't they? Come on now. And yeah, Stanley, you said that her father spoke, but it wasn't for her, it was against her. Also, he is Caucasian on his birth certificate, right? So there's nothing black about her. And so Janet is right to say what she said. And I don't think that anybody should be demonizing Sister Janet for that. They better leave the Jackson family alone. They're off limits. The Wayans family and the Jackson family and the Gordy family, these are families in the black proper that are off limits. You will not demonize them, and you will not demonize their impacts on the culture that were absolutely positive at any point, at any time. And again, I told you, we got to start talking about warriors when it comes to our people and our good people who are living up to the positive ideas of the Black American experience and success, where they didn't specialize in selling their people out, they specialized in taking people with them. All right? So let's never conflate, these types of people with some of these other blackface looking Bucky dancers, right? They're not the same type of black people. These brulee people, they are gatekeepers, right? The Wayans family, the Jackson family, the Gordy family, right? These are black elevators, right? These are our prized people within the community that have had great impacts historically throughout America. And I mean, I'm not going back to the slaves, right? Because again, I'm talking about modern black American success, right? I look at black history with a progressive lens. So I'm not going to be stuck on slaves and civil rights. I'm going to be talking about what some of these black people who are successful in America have done with their civil rights, right? And many of them have made great strides for black people, okay? They're employing other black people, right? Dave Bing is another one. So, anyways, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. I got to get into some things, but we have to protect our black royalty, right? We cannot allow people, even if they look like us, to come and vilify us, demonize us and our culture, try to always conflate everything negative to black culture. And we talking to you, Candace Owens, too, because Ice Cube had to get with Candace Owens because, again, she's always on some conspiracy stuff, right? So she's like, the FBI, they created gangster rap. Now, I will say this, that what did Ice Cube say? It was experiential or influence rap that they were putting out. It wasn't gangster rap. The industry labeled it gangster rap. And I talk about this a lot if you follow my channel, how these machines of control, these establishment, they hijack everything black. All right. And then they repackage it as some BS stuff, right? So Negro History Week was supposed to highlight constant black innovation, right? To show black progress in America, right? Then all of a sudden the federal government, they want to hijack it, make it, sell it as a, oh, guess what, black people, we were going to celebrate Black History Month all month long. And what you guys are going to celebrate? These slaves and civil rights beacon. They're not going to give you the progressive black American. It's a damn shame that my kids, I had to fight for that list to change because these people have the usual suspect slaves and civil rights beacon type people on this list, right? So a lot of people don't understand black history from a broader lens, and it's very, very unfortunate. Rap used to be conversations within our culture. Now it's pure degradation. It is because It's not being sponsored by black people. This is an industry machine that have hijacked the ideas, the experiences of these brothers, and instead of telling a story of their experiences, they're glorifying them as a matter of fact across board as being cool. Like they literally do a great job of trying to make poverty line mindsets and behavior cool and popular. And you see that that music is a Pied Piper behavior to our brothers in Chicago, to our brothers out here in Detroit. These brothers, unfortunately, and this is why parents, we do have to do a better job of monitoring the entertainment of our kids. And it's incredibly hard because they have devices in their hands all the time. But when you let them know that when you feed your mindset with these ideas and these musics and these sentiments, it impacts your behavior. And you may not see it right now, but it will impact you eventually, right? And I posted a video of this young brother talking about first day, he listened to Pooh Shiesty for 3 days and he went from a clean cut, nice brother to this driller, right? The music is a Pied Piper to the behaviors. The machine knows this. The FBI knows this. The CIA knows this. So, yeah, they are pulling a lot of these brothers from the at risk scarcity mindset populations and propping them up to be faces of black men, right? They are doing that. The best black music is not owned by the industry, it's underground. It's always going to be underground. And that's just 100. The best black music is not in the mainstream, it's in the underground. And that's why it's important to support the independent underground artists because that's where you're really going to get your most soulful, lyrical, meaningful music, you know? Because they want to promote and project black people a certain way. Like, I'm not trying to be funny. I believe that all of our sisters, hey, make money with dignity. But you look at people like Sexy Red, and that's a big psyop. She's not even talented. You look at Ice Spice, she's not talented, but they are harlots to a purpose for young black women. I told my niece one time, I was like, do you realize that you're wearing the same oversized lashes and the same wig styles as all these people because you're being programmed to do that? It's not about trend or being popular. This is directly a look that they're promoting to young black women. And it's really, synonymous with a culture that's not pure. And you see with some of these female rappers are telling these young girls, it's okay to bop, it's okay not to have respect for yourself. And this is not something that is being pushed by black people. This is not a narration of black people that is being pushed by black people. It just leverages homely, needy, desperate black people to accomplish it. You see what I'm saying? And, people got to understand this. They're seeing the poverty line blacks being conflated and projected to them. So, yeah, Candace is right in that, yeah, the music industry is heavily influenced by the CIA and the FBI. There's tons of documentary on how these people have literally come in so that they can start mind controlling people through creative different ways. Music, movies, projections, these things are ways to implant seeds and ideas into people's minds, right? And so they're going to super fund the worst ones, the most debauched ones, and normalize them. Like, don't y'all understand? Don't y'all see the normalization of bad things more and more? There's a reason for that. They want the debauchery, they want the chaos, they want the violence. And so they're going to normalize all of that stuff, right? And it starts with even the little kids. It's like, I didn't know that they had Glock 19s and Lambos in Roblox. I thought it was just a kid Lego type thing, but Roblox is getting way more sophisticated. But it starts off with the sweet little characters that they know, and then all of a sudden they start turning these characters into killers. Like they had like this piggy thing. I'm like, that's Peppa Pig. That's little Pedro. They killers now in the Roblox world. This stuff is by design, but obviously Candace Owens who is a broken intellectual, in my opinion, right? She just has to say something extreme and clickbaity, right? I don't know why she keeps talking at and about and to black people. Like she's been well rejected. She's rejected us. I don't really get it. But obviously she's still trying to get her tokens, plugging something negative about us. But she was talking about how I don't even know what that post was that O'Shea was reading. Let me see if I can find it. But she was talking about how basically hip hop is a genre of the feds or something like that. Here it is. Gangster rap was never black culture, which I agree. But gangster rap was never black culture. It was created by the feds who preferred deals to homosexual black men in prison, then turned them into artificial celebrities. The goal was to create false idols to destroy black American values. I will never change my mind. All right, so I believe, I'm not sure where Ice Cube posted a response to this, but apparently, like, I guess maybe he misconstrued.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons.
Literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. The records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. Some records are made by committee, meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're gonna have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that. You have, the record company pushing the narrative.
See, same thing I'm saying. They're pushing narrative. Now, my one pushback on Ice Cube, um, and I'm not sure if O'Shea was reporting this the right way or not. Like, I don't understand how he could necessarily push back on Candace Owens when he's saying the exact same thing. But this is kind of where I maybe feel like he's coming from. You know, black people are very sensitive about who. It's just like we're like the Jews these days. Like, don't just come around talking about black people, right? Because you might get checked, right? So we are operating like the Jews now, where you're not just going to run around saying anything you want to say about us, right? So we're trying to control the black narrative, people. All right. But Ice Cube is essentially saying the same thing as Candace Owens, so I don't understand why he would have a projection of a pushback um, about what she said because he's saying the same thing. But I think to Ice Cube's clear articulation is he's breaking down how the music industry worked. So he's not divorcing the fact that there's organically good artists who are writing their own lyrics and who are pushing out music that's not what we see. He's just saying that these people, these record labels, these boards, they're evaluating which music is being pushed out to the public, right? So, and they're telling you the narrative that they want you to be promoting, right? So you could have an artist that is writing their own stuff, writing something true to their own experience, right? But the record labels might say, you're talking more reminiscent where we need you to be more glorifying of this experience, right? And I think this is where a lot of these rappers eventually they'll have conflict, right? Because they're trying to get out of the situations that they have to promote in their music, right? They're trying to get out of these situations. They don't want to glorify these situations, but in order to make that money and get those contracts, they have to sell their soul, they have to sell their community out, right? To these narratives. This is where selling your soul comes in, people, right? You're doing something against your core beliefs. You know that what you're doing is wrong, but you do it to enrich yourself anyways. Candace Owens is the same type of person, right? She talks about all these different people in groups to enrich herself. She don't care about any of these people she's talking about. She damn sure don't care about black people. And that's why we're tired of her talking about us. So even though her and Ice Cube may be articulating a very similar point, because it's coming from Candace Owens, it's always going to be received negatively from black people because we already know what she has been paid to specialize in, right? It's like somebody like talking cash mess about you for years, and then now all of a sudden they want to act like they can get in and just kind of talk about you in a sort of, it's like we don't trust where you're coming from, right? We don't understand what underground message that you are coming with this, so we don't want to hear it from you. Like when Candace Owens talks about anything black, I think it probably makes a lot of black people want to vomit. Like, shut up. It's like it's like an eyesore talking about you, right? Like, and that's what she is to black people. She's an eyesore that continues to run her mouth about us, right? And so I think even though her and Ice Cube are really articulating the same point, I think he was just going at her because it's like we tired of you talking about us in your cross talking demon kind of way. Yeah, Candace is a broken clock. She is right twice a day, right? And absolutely. But Candace is Kamala, just a tad darker, but still not black and married white. Cool, but not cause of compatibility. He inherited 78 million. Absolutely. Candace understood how to hedge herself. All right? She's not dumb, right? She has an evil spirit, but she's not dumb. She knew how she was going to hedge herself, right? She was playing on a team of the Jews, right? But she went out. I don't think her husband, somebody said her husband was Jewish. I don't think her husband is Jewish. I think he is one of those grade A Aryan white dudes from the UK, right? And not saying that he's a racist guy or anything like that. I'm just saying that, she knew what she was doing, right? She knew what she was doing to hedge herself so that if I say, if this thing don't work out with the Daily Wire, I'm going to get this man 3 kids right away. So it doesn't matter. Me and the kids are going to be taken care of forever, even if he decides to get rid of me or whatever. But Candace is a threat to her husband's empire, though. Because if they're short squeezing her right now with the demonetization and all the little slick stuff, trust and believe they'll find little slick ways to go after his family. So hopefully they're doing everything top notch because these people will find a way. They will find a way. That's how evil some of those people are. But I don't know. I don't disagree with what Candace is saying, but at the same time, I think that there are you got to look at it from how these federal agencies have hijacked movements and ideas of black people. And the unfortunate thing is that, you have a lot of black people who don't believe in their cause more than enriching themselves. So it's easy for certain black movements and ideas to get bought out. And that's the story, really, of black people, right? Some of our people are too easy. They will sell black people, the black narrative, out if there is an advantage to them. This is that Sambo culture, right? Where, hey, if I can elevate myself among all the others, right, and just be safe, screw them, right? And then they start gatekeeping, right? They start gatekeeping. They don't want other black people to be successful. They don't want other black people to have a voice because now they want to be this fixed demographic of black people who, have managed to achieve success. So I pray for everybody, right? Shout out to Janet Jackson. Shout out to Sister Janet, right? Still looking good. Janet looks good, right? That's that peace. That's that real organic peace right there. Marlon Wayans looked good. That brother was looking good, right? I saw a picture, like a TikTok video of Damon Wayans and like one of his granddaughters. And even Damon looking good. These brothers are unbothered. Leave these brothers alone. Keep their names out of your mouth if you want to collaborate with these black beacons of American success. You pay those brothers what they're worth. All right, Vlad. Don't like you learned your lesson. Hopefully, don't ever lowball people like that. They're gems. And the thing is with Vlad is he missed a great opportunity to actually have a great, meaningful discussion. Right, because the story of the Wayans family is incredible. They are truly beacons, just like the Jackson family. So, anyways, you all have a wonderful day, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye. Oh, wait. Hold on. There was something. Did I miss it? No, I clicked off. It was this Jamaican lady actually talking about how Jamaicans are not black. And she set out such a great argument. I'll find it and maybe do another video, but I don't think that people should be looking at cultural tribal delineation as something that's being racist, right? If you look at it as being racist, maybe you are divorced or you lack your own culture and you're just jealous that other people have one. I don't know what it is, but we're all not the same. We do come from different backgrounds, different belief systems, different ways of, having fun, all of that stuff. And it's nothing wrong with that, right? But I don't think it's racist. I do not think it's racist. And I have been seeing some little things of black racisms, and they're talking about foundational black Americans, right? Like we are the least racist people on this earth, in my opinion. But at the same time, you got to understand where black Americans are at this point. We have had a unifying diaspora type of mindset for a very long time. I've never known black people in America to really delineate amongst other black looking people who come here. I never really saw it really until like as I was growing up hearing non-black American immigrants talk about black Americans negatively. And I always grew up the mindset that like the Africans and the immigrant people that come over here that they didn't like us, right? And I never dug into why that was because it was just kind of a moot thing that I observed, right? But it wasn't until I did start kind of understanding this issue from the perspective of the FBA camp. And, and even Tariq Nasheed right now, he's being accused of changing his positions on different things. But I think where Tariq is coming from is we actually have been on y'all team. We actually have had a diaspora mindset. But what has happened is some of y'all come over here and you directly act against us. You directly talk against us. You don't acknowledge that without our struggles, without the fights that we choose to engage in, that you all wouldn't be here, right? You would be in your own countries dealing with whatever people in your own country deal with. And I think that's where the FBA movement is right now, where it's like enough is enough of these black looking people, right, coming in, tethering to the black American culture and experience identity, right? But then they're delineating themselves behind closed door and they're talking cash crap about black Americans, right? And that's, I think, the point that, he's at right now, where it's like, all right, if y'all want to just be out here in these streets directly acting against us, you're not like us. You're not one of us. And we are delineating who we are lineage wise based off of our nationality and the nation that we have been in for generations, for centuries, right? So that's what is happening here, right? And I think it's important for this to happen because now when these politicians want to prop all these people up, right? Now we're going to be digging in. You're going to sell them a black person. Are they FBA? Are they really black? right? Because the Democrats are good with propping these ambiguous people to black people and selling them as black because they look black looking, right? And we can't allow that. We cannot allow that, right? So, again, you guys have a wonderful day. If you like content like this, please hit that subscribe button and I will catch you on the next one. And again, I'm not racist. I don't think that cultural delineation is a racist thing. I think that it affords people an opportunity to really get a strong sense of what other cultures are like because they're not running on the dictations of other people and people who are not associated with those cultures telling them what that culture is, right? So even when it comes down to rap music and the history of rap music, I would take a documentary from a Tariq Nasheed before I take it from any of these puppets from the industry machine, right? Because they're puppets, right? And, Tariq seems like a dude that's operating on his own independent movement. So, and ideas of his lineage. So I would take documentaries from him all day, and that's just the bottom line at this point. I'm all about supporting the independent voices, you know, even though we know you going hard for Trump, Tariq. Stop playing. Stop playing. We know you're going hard for Trump, but again, this could be an economic thing that he's doing. If it's an economic decision, I respect you, right? Because I don't vote based off of race and what people look like. I look at their policies, I look at their behaviors, their track record. And like I said, if Trump can give us the economy he did in this first run and he can get rid of all this crazy stuff, I'm not mad. Hopefully, they don't pop another disease on us where it destroys the economy again because you know what they do. You know what they do. But, anyways, you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.